Hey everyone, we're back after a very long off season. Um, we're here to, preview the very irrelevant regular season that's about to come up. It's been a long time, but as much as I'm joking about how irrelevant it is, I'm actually pretty excited. Like, I guess like all that time away from hockey actually helped because I'm actually excited to watch some games again. It's been so long. So, guys, there's a lot to catch up on. We didn't really get a chance to talk about a lot of the big signings, or maybe we did. It's been a while. But we can go through, I think there's about 5 or 6 major signings that the Leafs did this offseason. Then we could talk a little bit about the development camp, and then we'll kind of go into what's going on around the league. So we'll start off with number 1, Phil Kessel 2.0, Mr. Hamburger himself, Nick Ritchie. What do you guys think about this signing? To be the first thing I thought about this signing is Dubas is continuing with the memes. Like, the whole meme was like how everyone was saying that, or like all the boomers were saying Leafs should have drafted Nick Ritchie over William Nylander. And it's just so funny that Dubas goes and signs Nick Ritchie now to to play with. He could be playing with Nylander, which is hilarious. What do you guys think about the Nick Ritchie signing?
Yo, I haven't been upset about Don Cherry not being on TV for like since he got fired, but now I'm kind of upset. Could you imagine watching a hockey night in Canada and seeing like seeing him like analyze a pass from Nick Ritchie to William Nylander or something like that?
Real Canadian boy, former Boston Bruin Nick Ritchie. He's what it takes for the Leafs to win.
Yeah, like I like the signing. He's like a cheap like depth option. He's like a kind of a project player again, right? What's funny to me is like Boston fans, how like a week after we signed him, they're like, oh, he's injury prone, he's garbage, he's like blah blah blah. Like just always there's always
So along with Nick Ritchie, I know we'll talk about everyone, but Kashe also played for Boston too. So it's kind of cool that we took 2 of Boston's players. Apparently they played together a lot. They have some pretty good chemistry from what I was reading in like the articles and stuff. But interestingly enough, Boston signed Nick Foligno. So in a way, you can think about it as we traded Nick Foligno for Kashe and Ritchie. Nadim, I know you were not a big fan of that Nick Foligno signing. What do you think about this twist of events that I'm trying to convince you?
I don't want to be a pessimist, but then that means we traded like what, a first and 2 fourths for Nick Ritchie and Andre Kashe.
Hey, that's pretty good. They traded a first just for Kashe.
Is that good?
They traded a first for Kashe, so I guess we're getting market value.
Okay. It's not the worst. It is kind of like sad to see Foligno come here and then get injured and not really be able to play properly and then just leave after paying all that for him. But I think the Ritchie and the Kashe signings are good. Like, Ritchie is someone that you know can play in the top 6. He's not... I don't think he's going to be as good as Zach Hyman, but I think he has like a little bit of that kind of edge and like fighter spirit that Hyman had that we're probably going to need. And then Kashe has some upside. Obviously the only thing with him is like, can he stay healthy and can he get a full season in? I think if he can get a full season in with the Leafs playing in the top 9, that's going to end up working out really well. But if not, it'll be unfortunate. I hope he can stay healthy and we can see a full season of him, because I do think he has potential there. So, I mean, I think they are good signings. I think they kind of saved the offseason a little bit. They're obviously not like the high hopes that we all had, but it was looking kind of grim after the first couple of days of free agency, thinking like, is this the team that we have going into next season? So these signings were good to kind of help kind of shore up the top 6, top 9. But now let's see if they can do what Dubas brought them in to do.
Yeah, those are some good points. One thing with Nick Ritchie, just Carton, before I get to you on your thoughts, I remember reading about this too. An interesting thing I see, and it's part of the reason I think Nick Ritchie is probably my favorite signing out of all of them, is Nick Ritchie is a big hitter, right? Like this guy, he hits a lot. And the other thing that he does a lot is he racks up a lot of penalty minutes, right? So at first glance, this might be a bad thing, right? But if what I was reading somewhere is if you have more guys that are taking the way that the league is and what we complained about all of last season is retaliatory calls, right? So like if the if the referee gives Calgary a penalty in the first period and another penalty in the second period, odds are Edmonton's going to get two penalties in the third period, right? So what I was reading is if we have a guy like Nick Ritchie or even some of the other guys, if they're getting a lot more penalty minutes now, odds are it's going to result in us getting more power play time because if we're getting more penalties, the other team's going to get more penalties. So I thought that was one interesting thing because I think the Leafs were pretty close to the bottom of the number of power plays they had. So although we're going to have to do more penalty killing, more power play time could be a good thing, right? Like maybe one of the reasons, and I don't want to bring back the Montreal series, but it's going to come back, is if we could have scored on the power play more last season, it's clear they would have had more success, right? But what if having more power plays in total would have let them practice the power play more, would have let them figure out the kinks in the power play more, which could have been better for their power play and had more success, right? So that's just an interesting thought that I read and then I kind of thought about is more power plays could mean a lot more success, right? So just Garden, what do you think about Nick Ritchie? And I guess Kashe too, since we started talking about him.
Personally, I like the Nick Ritchie signing. Big body forward, power forward. You really get those DJs. Don't think of him with Tom Wilson because he can't skate as well as Tom Wilson or even Josh Chandler. He can't skate. He's more of a big body guy. Probably won't get into the corners as much, but can hit. Like you said, the retaliatory penalty will be a thing. Maybe they'll change this year because the Leafs got a big guy. Who knows? The league hates Leafs, but the owners.
all of a sudden, they change the rules and they stop doing this stupid penalty matching just because the Leafs caught one now. That'll be hilarious.
Yeah, that'll be such a league thing. I like it because I think one of the underrated things about last season was Ritchie was on that top unit of the Boston Bruins. He was not front the whole time, so you could probably see Ritchie in the not front with Matthews, hopefully Nylander and Marner or what you want to call it. All I know is Ritchie gonna be net front on the power play for sure. Because even though he can't deflect, he can park his ass right in front of the net and stay there. And maybe work on his hand eye a bit with the skills coach, and maybe he can deflect a couple of pucks. But the thing is, the underrated part of the signing is him getting into the front of the net. And that's what the biggest thing is about the signing. Who knows where he's gonna play? He can play on the third line, he can play on the second line, he can play on the first line, he can move up and down, he can play with Matthews and Marner, or you can build towards the Nylander, or you can build curveball, or whatever you wanna call it. You can play up and down. That's the flexibility that they wanted and they got. With Kasha, he's injury prone to the freaking max, has concussion issues. But if the Leafs medical staff can help him and like train him and put him in the right mindset and have him like progress and get rid of those concussions and help him get days off, games off, and help him recover from the concussions. He could be a good depth goal scorer. And based on the analytics, I know a lot of people are gonna roll their eyes at this, but analytics are a thing in this age. I mean, this era. But under Kasha, he has really good underlying numbers, good great entries, and good all this type of stuff. So I think him along the third line of Kasha, Kerfoot maybe or Comp, who knows? But he's a good two-way forward as well, and hopefully he can produce as well as like he was a 20-goal scorer in Anaheim, and hopefully he can produce here and be whatever he was back in Anaheim. And plus, he has potential because the Boston. I was jealous. I remember 2019 deadline before 2020 deadline before COVID hit. I was jealous the Boston Bruins traded for Andre Kasha because I really wanted him. I remember all the nerds saying that he was good and like all the type of stuff, and I really wanted him. And the Bruins got him, like, fuck, man. Well, the Bruins got one of my favorite players, favorite like non-Leafs, and they got him, and like I was like, fuck. And then he ended up having issues, like injury issues, and then they non-tendered him, and the Leafs picked him up, and I was so happy. I was like, yes. And maybe it could be another Tyler Ennis thing where they progress him and they try to get him away from the concussion. Remember Tyler Ennis came in here and he was like, and he was not healthy and like all this type of stuff. So hopefully they can maintain his health, and he can be a depth option for the Leafs.
Yeah. One thing before we go on the rest of the signings, I think that Dim mentioned this. He mentioned the name Zach Hyman. Did you guys see that picture of Zach Hyman in the Edmonton Oilers jersey? Like, how fucking weird was that, man? Like, I saw that
It
picture.
looked fucking weird.
It was so weird. Like I feel like Zach Hyman's he's been here as long as the rest of our core has. So like it tripped me out, man. I opened Twitter, I saw that picture, and I closed Twitter right away. Holy. Speaking of that, okay. Well, I'll get to this point later. Let's finish up the forward core because I wanted to bring up another topic. We can talk about Kampf and Bunting together. So Kampf, to be honest, I don't know much about him. I don't really remember much about him either. I remember he was pretty good. I don't have too much to say about him. I know he's a younger guy. He played for Chicago and stuff. So, it's just good. Lots of depth. Better to have more players. To be honest, it seems like we have a lot more depth this year than previous years, which is good. And then Bunting. Bunting is interesting because he had some good numbers last year. I think he's a Sioux boy, right? He's from the Sioux. And the thing though was he had a very high shooting percentage. I remember we were talking about this too in our group chat. So I don't know. It seems like a bit of a risk there, but again, it's a smaller dollar value contract. Could work
There's
out.
a couple things that I wanted to jump in with. So like, I think you're right. I think we do have more depth this year, or better depth this year. But the big question for me is like, a lot of the depth guys we bring in, or we have brought in, the problem the last couple of years was the depth scoring. So I do feel like the depth this year is stronger, but I don't know if they're stronger scorers. I don't know if
Man,
we have enough depth.
The problem last year was not the depth scores, man. Come on.
Well, it was one of the problems. The real problem was the top end scoring. But
yeah, but
I mean,
before last year it was the depth scoring.
It was the depth scoring before last year. Yeah, last year was the power play, the bad giveaways, the top end guys. But also for comp, I think basically what bringing him in is like we have a center for the penalty kill, and I think it also kind of signals that we're probably going to have a shutdown kind of checking line, which should be kind of interesting to see. And I think that might be kind of part of the plan of like how can we free up the top guys a little bit more and give them a little bit more space so that the top end scoring is not an issue again next year, because we know that they can score. It's really just that they got shut down this year and for part of last year. And when you play teams like Columbus and Montreal that are really good at playing the defense and not letting pucks through and shutting the top end guys down, it seems like that's where Matthews and Marner and them seem to struggle. So maybe having a checking line that you could throw out against like a Danault line that we faced last year can kind of help free those guys up a little bit.
Yeah, like 100%. The more time like Matthews and Marner are spending the offensive zone, the better, right? One other thing before we jump to Ethan Egan and just Clark. Kampf and Kashi are both Czech players, and I'm pretty sure they should be good friends if they're both Czech players. So I thought that was another interesting point. I think they're pretty close in age, so there's some good chemistry there with having two Czech players. I wonder if that's just a coincidence or that's something Dubas actually thought about. But I just thought that was interesting too.
That's one of those things where, like, I'm pretty sure it's a coincidence, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Dubas thought about that and it played into his decision a little bit, but you know.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like yeah. Honestly, it feels like this year with Dubas's signings, they're not like the big name signings, you know. Like when Joe Thornton came here, yeah, he was old, but like everyone was excited, you know. Like everyone's like, "Oh, Joe Thornton this, Joe Thornton that," right? When he started on the first line and the start of the season, all the attention was on Joe Thornton and not on, Matthews and Marner. And I think with these signings this year, with like guys like Bunting, Kampf, like the not as exciting players, I think more of the attention is going to be on the top four guys. And like you saw Dubas say that in the offseason too, right? How everything's on the big four now, right? They need to take the next step in with their leadership. And I think that's good, right? Like this season, if we don't see a big step from Matthews and Marner and Nylander and Tavares, like that's it's gonna be kind of worrying, right? And I think with these low event depth players, there's gonna be more pressure on Matthews and Marner to be, the big time leaders in the playoffs. So hopefully it works out, And in terms of Bunting, like I don't know too much about Bunting, but it seems like everyone's excited of his goal scoring. So do you guys think he's gonna be on the first line or something, or like beside Matthews and Marner, or beside Tavares and Nylander?
Man, that's the thing is like I know just Carter was saying like we should like figure out line predictions and stuff, but like with these four signings specifically, like defense, of course, we have an idea. Goaltending, we kind of have an idea, right? But with these four players, like it seems to me like all four of these players are pretty interchangeable. I think Camp is the center, so like we kind of figure he'll most likely be like third line center or a winger if Kerfoot plays there. But with like Richie, Koshe, and Bunting, like to me, I look at those three players and all three of them can either play on the first, second, third, or fourth line. So like I have no idea, Tanik.
Yeah, and then you add in guys like Robertson, right? Where does he go?
Oh man, I wanted to bring up Robertson later, but he's lightening it up in the development camp. We'll talk about it later. Just kind of, what do you think about those two signings?
Kampf was the signing when it happened. It seemed like the worst signing. 1.5 for 2 years. I've been so focused on these contracts that we overpaid this and that. And then if you look deeper into the charts and like all these analytic stuff, he played against tougher competition against Chicago, and Chicago wasn't that good of a team last year, and people were shocked that he signed it for 1.5 because like he wasn't that good. But when Dubas came out of the presser, he's like, I don't know how much time it cost Dan Bowman, who shouldn't be the GM but is the GM of the Chicago Blackhawks for obvious reasons, that he called him several times regarding David Kampf and being like, "Oh, I want him. What do you want from him?" And Stan Bowman be like, "I don't want to trade him," and like he ended up not tender qualifying him, and then not qualifying him or non-tendering him, whatever you want to say. But then he ended up non-tendering him, and Dewis picked him up right away because that's how much of a player he wanted him. So you could see a Czech United of Mikheyev, Kasha, and Kampf, or something along those lines. Honestly, I'd love to see a line of Kerfoot, Kasha, and Robertson. The 2-4 playmaker, pure playmaker, and pure sniper. That would be sick, but who knows if Robertson makes it out of camp. I don't think he should make it out of camp, but that's just my opinion. The thing is about like Bunting. Bunting is he's a good forward, but we know what to expect from him. He's still in the rookie of the. He could be in the Calder nomination, but the thing about Bunting is he had a really high shooting percentage. I think he was 25, 23, 25% along those lines. Playing with Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz, I think it was, or something along those lines. He was playing Connor Garland, I think Nick Schmaltz. He's playing something with those guys. I don't know who he's playing with, but I know he's playing with Connor Garland, who had a great season last year. But hopefully he can. I remember I saw this on Twitter. It was Nylander with Tavares and Bunting in the informal skates, and people were just like all over that. I'm like, yo, chill. It's informal skates. You never know what's gonna happen. Preseason, so I think the first preseason game is next Saturday. I'm excited for that. Finally, hockey back and like all that type of stuff is gonna be really exciting to like see and like the line juggling. Cause now Keith has the options to like jug up lines and like like move Marner to the second line with Tavares and move Nylander up and be like move Richie up, move or like move whatever the competition is. It's like if you have a big body team like who's a big body team like Boston Bruins or if a skill team like Tampa, you could line match with Tampa, be a comp, you go up and you like comp McHale or Kasha and like you guys do the checking and then you checking against the Kucherov line and then you put like Tavares, Nylander or whatever against whoever it is, or you put like Tavares, Marner against. If you want more offense, you put Tavares, Nylander, Matthews, Nylander against whoever it is, and Tavares, Marner. If you want more defensive matchup, you do that, and then you go on from there. So now there's more flexibility to do whatever they want, and we're forgetting guys like Joey Anderson, whoever Michael Amadio, who's signed out of Los Angeles, and all these types of guys. So you never know who like the lines. It could be anything, anytime they want. So the more flexibility you have, the better it is.
Okay, so the last signing is Peter Mrazek. We also got Josh Ho-Sang on a PTO. I don't think he's signed yet. I'm not too sure. But before we get into Mrazek, or you guys can talk about Mrazek with this, I have an interesting question for you guys, okay? If we consider who departed from the team and who came onto the team, as well as who might emerge, right? As in like Nick Robertson or whatever it be, right? So in terms of major departures, I'm not going to get into like the small players, but Zach Hyman, right? Probably the biggest departure. Frederick Anderson, Zach Bogosian, and then you could say Joe Thornton and Alex Galchenyuk. We don't know where Alex Galchenyuk's going yet, but we'll say he's a departure for now, right? So there's those 5 players, okay? And then I guess you could say, like, you could count Nick Foligno too, even though he was a trade deadline asset, but that's up to you. And then entering the team is Nick Ritchie, Koshe, Kampf, Bunting, Mrazek, and then you have Nick Ritchie, who to me seems like he should be a lock from everything that's coming out at the development camp. So you have those 5 players that left, and you have these 6 players that might be making the team now. What do you guys all think? Like, do you guys think that the team got better, like better or worse than last year? For me personally, like out of all the players that left, like I think when all these players were leaving back in free agency, I was probably just it was more of an emotional reaction. But like looking at it more like thoughtfully now, like the only departure that I'm really upset about is Zach Hyman, right? And versus I honestly think that we got better as a team. Other than Zach Hyman, I think even despite that, I think we got better as a team with our additions because it's the thing that we were talking about before with the depth is out of this world, right? Like we lost 2 forwards, maybe 2 or 3 forwards, and we gained 5 forwards, right? Having more depth is a lot better for this team. I think the whole thing about lightening the workload for Matthews, Marner, and like the big 4 is going to be really big with this team. And it's a lot of new personalities, and it's guys who I think like what was it like last year? It was the whole thing about bringing in these big personalities, Wayne Simmons, Joe Thornton, blah blah blah, to kind of spark some more personality in the change room. But to me, it seems like it didn't work, or maybe it worked in the sense that it kind of helped develop Matthews and Marner into like the leadership role to kind of teach them how to become the leaders. But now it seems like this team is theirs. They got a nice supporting cast. All these players are really good supporting players. Like like we were saying, we were disappointed there were no stars, but we can't afford a star, and we don't necessarily need another star on this team. I know we all wanted. I know you guys really wanted Dougie Hamilton. I wasn't really a fan of wanting Dougie Hamilton, but yeah. So that's my thoughts. What do you guys think? Do you guys think we got better or worse overall after this off season?
I honestly think we got some sort of better. I don't want to say we got better because on paper it seems like we got some we got like a little bit better, but who knows? Because things did not put on paper, but the signings look decent. It just there's a depth signing, right? So you gotta be careful of the hype and like all that sort of social stuff, right? So like for me, it's about what's on the ice, not on the paper. I used to get excited on paper. We got Matthew Martin, we got Tavares. I think a lot of people forget that. Like we look at the team and we look at how it's constructed, and we look at, oh shit, it's the same lineup over and over again. And you look at other teams. You look at teams like Detroit. You look at teams like Ottawa. You look at teams like Ottawa's on the up, but you look at teams like Detroit. You look at teams like, who's the bottom feeder? Like Arizona, Buffalo, and like all those sorts of teams. And we look at those teams, and we look at the Leafs. We are so lucky to have these guys. And people forget that like, Tavares scored 47 goals in 2019. Matthew scored what, 42 in like 46? How much? He scored 40 plus goals last season. Marner had like 90 points like when he went playing Tavares. Nylander had 60 something. He comes out of points out of nowhere too. And we're so lucky to have these guys. And like people forget that like so much. Like I think people are getting tired of seeing those same names on paper, that they forget like how good these players are. It is, like regular season does matter, cause even Dubas said that like he was on a podcast with Bob McCowan and John Shannon. I remember like he's like the regular season does matter. If you don't have a good regular season, how are you supposed to be good in the playoffs? If like I know it's a cliche, but you gotta develop those habits and everything in order to be like, we can reach the top and like we can do this. Like I remember it being like, well, what do you want? We're gonna win. And then Spencer came out saying winning the fourth game is probably the hardest game to win, because the other team's gonna be on their heels, on like they're gonna drive play, they're gonna drive momentum and all that type of stuff. But the thing is, like, you gotta be able to like have that momentum and carry it over to the playoffs. That's what I say. But yeah.
Yeah, honestly, like you guys said, like the only guy that I'm sad about losing is Zach Hyman, and like Dubas tried to, I guess, bring in Richie and Bunting to replace his style of play, but we'll see how that goes. The most exciting signing for me is probably Mazurek, and now that Campbell has the net for himself, or not the net for himself, but like less controversy versus when Anderson was here, I think that's gonna be fun. And then I think another exciting thing is not the guys that we signed, but the fact that we have Robertson and I guess you could say Sandy making a full-time appearance this year, right? Those two are going to be really exciting to watch. If Robertson can be a top 6 player, and if Sandy can be a legitimate full-time player this year, that'd be amazing, right? Like, because then next year you can think about moving away from Riley, and then moving Sandin into the top 4. But yeah, that's a later conversation. But yeah, I think we got a little bit better, like Jaskran said, just a little bit. Not we can't overhype ourselves,
Nah, fuck that, yo. New season, new hype.
Look, I'm a very conservative guy. Okay, I never hype up the Leafs.
Hey, I think the Leafs are gonna sweep the Montreal Canadiens.
Fuck.
Man, it's
Bro,
all your
watch
fault.
when it comes back to playoffs. Yo, I'm gonna say it right now. Habs aren't making the playoffs.
Oh, they're not making the playoffs. I don't care if this comes to bite me in the ass. Fuck the Habs, man. They lost superstar Kotkaniemi, man. What are they gonna do? Well,
Bro,
okay.
if
Well, speaking about, sorry, what were you gonna say?
nah, I forgot who did they sign after.
They
Oh, they
got
traded for
Dvorak.
Dvorak, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah. We'll
did
get
Yeah,
into that.
work,
That's on the
yeah.
list. That's on the list.
yeah.
Yo, I forgot to I forgot to answer the question, but like, yeah, I'm sad about losing Hyman. Um, the biggest signing was probably Mrazek to tandem with Campbell. I think that's because Mrazek been a tandem goalie for his whole career, and hopefully, because he likes apparently he likes the pressure. Everyone says he likes the pressure unless they come in like struggle. Andrew Aycroft, but like yeah, but like Mrazek, hopefully he produces and does well, has a good save percentage, and Campbell. Hopefully they can push each other. That's what I want the most: pushing each other and like having like a good thing. And Bunting, hopefully it can be like a Carter Verhaeghe, but who knows? But like, yeah, that's what we're all hoping for.
Yeah. So I wanted to touch on the thing that Negan mentioned. On the list of topics, the Nick Robertson. So the development camp has been going on. I know, like I saw this comment from Haley Wickenheiser saying that Robertson is like insanely like driven, insanely like good this year. Last year we all expected him to make it. I think he ran into some injury troubles and stuff, and then it was just like a weird year with the shortened season and stuff. But I don't know. Like I feel like he kind of needs to make the team now. Um, Apparently, him and Alex Steves like lit it up together. I think Steves had like a hat trick or something. And it's interesting. He's just that guy that they signed. I think back in I'm looking up at this article back in March actually. So like, this is a signing I think none of us really like thought about. It was in the middle of the season, well, close to the end of the season, I guess. Um, yeah, they signed this free agent out of college, and apparently he has some really good chemistry with Nick Robertson. He scored a hat trick on the same line with him. It's interesting. What do you guys think about the news coming out of the development camp? What one other thing before you guys get your thoughts in? What do you guys think about Liljegren too? Like, I feel like he's gotta get a shot at least. They gotta give him some games in the NHL. Like I'm hoping they kind of give him the Sandin treatment from last year, or the year before, where they're giving him more games, because like he's not getting any younger. Like he is only 22 still, but like you got to start getting him some exposure in the NHL. But anyways, yeah, what do you guys think about Nick Robertson and the development camp? Actually, Nadim, you're back. Before we get to that, quickly, do you think the team is better or worse than last year, based on departures and arrivals? I don't know if you heard the list of players I listed. But,
I heard most of it before I went out. It's a tough question. I'm gonna say worse on paper right now, but I do think that with everybody that they've brought in, with like Matthews hopefully being healthy all season and not playing with a damaged wrist, with two good goalies in both Campbell and Mrazek, I think that there's the potential for them to be better, but for now I'm gonna say worse on paper, just because I do think that the Zach Hyman loss is significant. I'm hoping that the team can kind of move past it and learn how to play without him, and if effectively replace what he did as much as possible. But I'm not convinced that we can yet until I see it.
also, Nadim, just for the record, Negan, the hot take master. Just for the
Oh boy.
record, again, the hot take master Negan predicted that the Habs are not making the playoffs. He put it
Oh, I also
concrete.
predicted that.
Yeah.
Okay, all of us are saying that.
Yeah.
But just remember,
Me
Negan's
too.
the guy that called for the sweep for the Leafs.
That's
so-
not even a hot take in my opinion. Like the last 2 years, they came 24th and 18th in the league. The only
Hey, man,
reason they ever
they're
made the
trending
playoffs
upwards.
was because they got lucky with COVID, and I don't think that they're a playoff team this year.
Okay, so guys, what's your thoughts on the development camp? Nick Robertson especially, and Liljegren, and this Alex Steves guy who's coming out of nowhere.
First of all, shout out to Hedy Recognizer, who works in the ER in Toronto, downtown Toronto, and is director of player development. You're a queen. Stay good. Stay healthy. You're a queen. Also Robertson. I'm not gonna try to buy into the hype. He looks like a really good player, but I think you should.
Hey, just Karn, don't you know what this podcast is called?
Yeah, I
Praise
know.
podcast, man.
I know,
all about
man.
buying into the hype.
Yeah, I know. But like the thing is, bro, like
We are the hype.
we are the hype. But like, the thing is, like I feel like Gordon Miller said it perfectly. I don't know if he's wrong or whatever, but you have to dominate each level you're at, like each level. Last year he took time to catch up to AHL, like have AHL game because the OHL season was postponed, and he had some injury issues. So I suggest he send him down for some thing and let him dominate down there, right? Let him dominate, let him do his thing, and when he dominates, then call him up, and then you can see like where he's at, like where his mindset's at. Like he wants to make the team. His work ethic is brilliant. Like everyone says, his work ethic is outstanding. And like he hunts the puck down too. We seen that in the Columbus League. He hunts the puck down. He had to rocket out a shot. Imagine this. Because he's right-handed, I think, right? Imagine Robertson and Matthews on the wings. Like, imagine that. Like, you just blasting shots. Robertson, Matthews. No one's able to stop that because you don't know where the shot's going, right? And you need that presence there too, right? And I think you should send him down and let him dominate in the OHL. Because the thing with Kotkaniemi, we're going to talk about this later on, but they fucked up his development because they didn't end up, like, he didn't dominate the Finnish league, and they dropped in third overall. But Gordon Miller said it perfectly. Even though he's not a hockey guy, he's a commentator, but the thing is, if you want to be successful in the NHL, you have to dominate each league you played in before. And that's what he was saying. I know a lot of players haven't, but you see Matthews, he dominated Swiss League before he came over. Patrick Laine dominated whatever Finnish league he did.
So you think he should stay in the AHL? Like, is that the point you're trying to make?
Yeah, I'm trying to make the point. He should stay in the AHL this season, let him dominate, and then come up. That's why
I don't know if I agree with that. Like, if he shows he's ready and he shows he can contribute to the lineup, you put him in the lineup. Like, it's not a matter at this point of like, oh, like he might be ready, but he needs to dominate down there. Like, if he shows he can play in the NHL and contribute, even if it's not at the level we like, I don't think it's reasonable to expect him to dominate the AHL and then come and dominate the NHL. Like, either way, most players don't just come in and dominate the NHL, right? So if he can show that he can contribute to the NHL, he should be playing in the NHL. But yeah, what do you think, Benegan and them?
Yeah, honestly, I'm hyped for Robertson. So like, I can't see him in the AHL.
Mr. Hot Takes.
Look, conservative guy over here, but
what's your hot take on Nick Robertson?
Oh,
just
God.
tell us he's going to win the Rocket this year. Go for it.
Legit.
You know that's the take you want to make.
Look, Matthews is going to have to pass to Robertson instead of taking shots. Simple as that. No, but I think, I honestly think Robertson, he stays with the Leafs this year. I think he's going to be hopefully on the second line beside Tavares and Nylander. Because I think they could use a faster guy on that line. A guy that hunts down the puck and stuff. But yeah, like, I think he should stay. And in terms of like overall training camp, honestly, I haven't heard much outside of Robertson and that other guy you mentioned, the Steve guy. And also I forgot his name, Abramov or whatever. He had a nasty goal too. Yeah, he had a nasty goal.
I don't know if you guys seen that defenseman Lucas Gustafsson. He's quite nasty go to. He's a defenseman though, but like he dangled around the guys in the roof to shot.
Did we draft him or?
No, he's invite. Okay.
I think ideally
I
you
think-
want
I
a
think
player
you guys-
to dominate at every level. Like you want the guy to almost be in there too long to the point where it's like clear that okay, he doesn't belong here anymore. He's ready for the next step up. I do think that that's the ideal scenario when developing a player, but I think we also have to consider like where the Leafs are at right now. Like they're trying to win a cup now. So I feel like I'm a little bit more on board with what Balraj was saying, in that if you think he's ready and you think he can be a difference maker in the lineup, then you just call him up. If you think he's basically a replacement level forward at this point and like he could play in the NHL but he's not better than any of the other guys that you have as options, then you can leave him down and let him spend more time there, because his ceiling is probably higher than other guys that we have as depth options right now. So I think it kind of just depends on that. But I do think like he has a wicked shot if he's ready for the NHL and he can be a difference maker. Then I do think he can be a really good help to the team. Like I think he could potentially help our power play a lot if you have him on one wing and Matthews on the other wing just shooting. You have Marner playing like around the goal line, dishing passes and stuff like that. Then you have like maybe Richie in front of the net for rebounds and getting the puck. Like I think that that's a pretty good power play setup and could potentially be a different kind of look than what we've had in the last couple of years, which seems like the team needs. So I'm excited about him. I hope he lives up to the hype and the potential, because if he does, then we got a real good player on our hands.
You guys are gonna see a pattern too. With the age of Marty, because Greg Moore, who's the Marty's head coach, and Ryan Hardy, who's the GM of the Marlies now, or AGM we can call it, or the Leafs. GM of the Marlies and the Newfoundland Growlers, the ECHL. You're gonna see a lot of Chicago Steel signing, because there's a connection between, the Chicago Steel and the Toronto Maple Leafs now. So you're gonna see a lot of that too. So this two connection with the Leafs and whatever you call it.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I think like his entry level contracts are gonna be really important in the next couple of years. So if the sooner they can produce on their ELCs, the better, right? So worry about their extension and stuff when that time comes. But if you can have a guy making 900K or whatever the ELC 950K whatever, if you can have a guy making 950K that's contributing above replacement level, like Nadim said, like that's exactly what you need to compete in today's NHL. Okay, quickly before we move on to the rest of the stuff, Ilya Mikheyev requests a trade after Dubas gave his heart and soul to him. What do you guys think about Mr. Soup requesting a trade? Think he's
Send
just
him
mad
to the
that there's two
Marlies
Soups?
just to fuck with him.
Send him to the Marlies. Oh man.
He'll get more playing time there.
Yeah, I just don't get it. Like where is he
I
gonna
don't know
go?
either. It's not like he's a superstar on this team, right? Like it's not like he's putting in goals and like making a huge difference and stuff like that, to the point where he's like earned more ice time but isn't getting it. So it's just kind of weird to me, because like I feel like he has been put in a pretty decent situation. It's not like he's playing fourth line minutes where he's only getting like 5-6 minutes a night. Like he's in the top 9. He's getting penalty kill time. So it's just weird. It's not like we're gonna put him on the power play because he has no scoring touch.
Yeah, like to me what's just weird is like it's like he has a shot to be a top line winger. Like there's nobody in front of Mikheyev that's clear cut top line left wing. Like if Mikheyev wanted to, he can show up at camp, show up in preseason, show up in the regular season, and take that first line left wing and make it his. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
What
do think like internally too, like he's probably the best option to replace what Zach Hyman brought that we have. Like he's fast, he's feisty.
exactly.
He doesn't
And
have
like
hands, but like he's tough on the puck and he can, kind of get into the battles and stuff like that. So, like you said, I think that's a really good point. Like the top left wing spot is his for the taking if he can show that he's able to do it and he knows exactly what he has to do. He knows what the blueprint is because he saw Hyman do it for 2 years while he was here. So, I don't know.
And like, what team is he gonna go on other than Buffalo, where he's gonna be secured a top line
Other than
left wing?
Buffalo.
Where he's
Hey,
gonna
don't
be
forget
secured
about
a top line
Arizona.
left wing spot. Well, Arizona too, my bad, but favorable destination spot. Like
Honestly,
there's
I
no
think
other
we
team-
should just trade him to Ottawa because they seem to like taking our like sloppy seconds. So
Oh boy.
they'd probably give us some decent stuff for him. What do you think about Mikheyev for Brady Kachuk?
Oh yeah, we'll take.
Yo, chill. Darren Dragon will offer sheet straight away. Watch, you can get offer sheet. Someone got offer sheet. I think the offer
Speaking of
sheet.
offer sheet, Kotkaniemi and Dvorak. Thanks for the nice transition, just Karin. Kotkaniemi and Dvorak. That whole situation. What do you guys think about that?
Oh no.
Does anybody
You're trolling.
does anybody here know how good Dvorak is? Because like I see all the Habs fans like super hyped about this.
I don't know
saying,
how
Give
he
40
plays
goals
in
score,
the
yo.
and like
NHL,
we won this deal by a landslide and stuff like that. Like is
but
he
like
that
give
he,
good?
I know
Bro,
he
they'll be
ripped
hyped
it in
about
the
anything.
OHL with Marner, right? Like he was Marner's
Yeah.
team. It was what? Kachuk,
Yeah.
Dvorak, and Marner.
Marner created
It's Domi.
it,
I think it's
essentially.
Marner
Domi.
created Dvorak.
It's Domi Dvorak Marner. I think it was. Wasn't it?
Like
No,
Marner is the
Kachuk.
reason he's in the
Not
NHL.
Kachuk?
Kachuk.
The year
but like,
before it was Domi, and then it was Kachuk, I think.
I thought Domi was a little bit older. But anyways,
Yo.
the whole point is Marner
Yeah.
and Dvorak played together. I honestly
They wa-
think that they lost.
Alright, go ahead.
Like they lost. They got trolled, right? So that in itself is an automatic out. Doesn't matter what happened afterwards. Fucking Carolina trolled the fuck out of them with their tweets, like the French tweet and everything.
Yo, the
Yeah,
French
that
tweet is
was
funniest.
incredible.
Did
The
you
French
yeah.
tweet and the signing bonus, like all
the
that
time
was
was $20?
amazing.
That's
Yeah.
a joke.
Hilarious.
They also
But-
announced the tweet right in like almost the exact same wording that Montreal did, like when they tendered the offer sheet.
for Aho, right?
Yeah, they phrased it in like the exact same language that Montreal did last time. So
Hilarious.
the troll job was like a 20 out of 10. It was very well executed.
Yeah. But like overall, like I'm like here's the thing that like Montreal fans are gonna say what they want to say, but everything I heard out of Montreal was Kotkaniemi was not being given opportunities that he should have been given, right? Like in the playoffs, he was sitting in the press box. He had that whole thing where he like pointed up to the press box and stuff. Like to me, I like the way Carolina handled their young players. Like they developed them really well. So I think like Kotkaniemi in Carolina could be really good for them, and he can definitely get closer to his ceiling in Carolina than he could in Montreal. So in that itself, I think Carolina's better. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Kotkaniemi, they messed up in development. They'll scratch him and then put him on second line. Like, what the fuck? Like, either scratch him or play him on the third or fourth line. Don't fucking scratch him and put him on second line. It makes no sense. Like, scratch him during Stanley Cup Finals. You don't do it to a young player. That's stupid as shit. And like, you guys hear this Montreal Canadiens fan? They're like, Dvorak's gonna go 40 goals. He's better than Matthews. I'm like, bruh, like, what the fuck? Like, Habs fans get excited, we get it. Like, we were excited about, like, who, like, Matt Fran. I was excited about Matt Fran. Matt Fran, remember him? Like, the guy who missed the penalty shot against, missed the thing. Missed the breakaway, he fell over and he missed the breakaway against, Boston, Game 7, 2013. Let's forget about it, but we can never forget about it. Like, that's the thing. Christian Dvorak first and a second. I think they got the worst. The better of the first, but it's top 10 protected. So if Carolina or Montreal
Wait,
finishes,
so wait, just sorry to cut you off, but did you compare Matt Friend to Christian Dvorak?
the hype. I'm talking about the hype, not
There's a parade planner's attitude right there.
exactly. It's the hype guy. I'm comparing the hype, not the player.
They are essentially the same player.
No, they're not. Christian Dvorak's better than Matt Friend. Yo,
No, Christian Dvorak is gonna play worse than Matt Friend in Montreal. Book it.
No, you know what? Remember Brendan Coulson? I was so excited for him. Like he was small, skilled, but then the guy injured his leg the second game. I was like, fuck, like really, like the guy was like a feisty ass guy, right? But like yeah, Brendan Coulson and Matt Friend, those were one of the most exciting things. And they're both like gone. I was like, okay, so much for the hype. Like that's the hype. That's the total hype, right? Like I know Dvorak's been in the league. Like people are like, oh, he was playing with shitty players. Who's he gonna put in Montreal? Caulfield and who's the other winger? Josh Anderson? Who's he gonna play with? I don't know. Cause Suzuki's gonna play with Caulfield. Danault's gone. Kotkaniemi's gone. Who's the center core? So I've got Suzuki, not Kotkaniemi, Dvorak, and Jake Evans. I don't know the fuck's the fourth line center.
Yeah, like that's a good point. Just Garn is like Montreal got worse. Like to me, I think Danault is better for a team than Dvorak. Like
and
Danault
Weber's
was
gone
a big
too.
reason. Yeah, Weber's out the whole year, and Danault was probably one of the most important players on that Montreal team. Like he was a fucking stud, man. He was so good, and there's no way Dvorak can come in and fill those shoes.
This is what I'm saying though. Like anybody who thinks Montreal's making the playoffs next year is delusional because not only were they not good enough to make the playoffs if the league was normal the last 2 years, they got worse this season. Like even if you think Dvorak is better than Kotkaniemi, you can't replace what Danault brought. Weber's out. Price is missing time. Like where are all of these wins going to come from? Tatar's gone too, isn't he?
I have a question. I have a question for you guys. Who do you think is gonna be better, Ottawa or Montreal?
Dude, I really hope Ottawa's better. That would be amazing.
Realistically,
I honestly think it's closer than people think.
I think it's close, but I think Montreal will be better. But it is going to be close. So you're right.
We got Hoffman.
We do know they'll both be better than Detroit.
Wait, who
got Hoffman?
Oh,
Montreal got Hoffman?
Montreal got Hoffman. I forgot about that. What the fuck?
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Like,
to be honest, Hoffman is like super one-dimensional, but still like.
Isn't he the one with the wife who like bullied Erik Karlsson's wife or something?
Yeah. That's the one.
Oh yeah, love that culture.
Oh yeah, I think Montreal had the most brutal season, the most like insane PR off season. After that Logan Mayu kid, and then they have Hoffman. They're in the DeAndre sweepstakes, and like I don't know what the fuck happened to Carolina. They're
Montreal and Carolina both had the worst off seasons, I would say, and they were both involved with each other with the offer sheet too.
Tony DeAngelo.
Okay.
Like why you signed Tony DeAngelo's fucking I don't know, man.
I can't wait till that blows up in their face.
You were getting off topic here.
Yeah. Tony DeAngelo's a fucking shithead, but let's stay on topic. We're limited on time. I'm sure we'll have Tony DeAngelo news throughout the season. Don't worry. We'll
I thought you were gonna say I'm sure we'll have Tony DeAngelo on the podcast soon.
He's only coming on podcasts that support extremist views, you know? What was the thing he said?
The right wing.
Controversial podcast or something like that? What was the... Okay, I forgot what it was, but yeah.
The right wing podcast. No, it was some stupid podcast that they had. Him and Brendan Lemieux.
Yeah,
Brendan
if we talk about the controversial podcast, they'll come on. Okay, let's get back to topic, guys.
We can make it the controversy. Come on.
RFA. So this is one thing that pisses me off about this league, okay? Mitch Marner and William Nylander extend their contracts, their RFAs. They want to get paid, right? It's a huge fucking deal. The whole league shits on the Leafs. The whole league shits on Dubas because he can't get these guys signed. Quinn Hughes, Pedersen, Kaprizov, Brady Tkachuk, Dahlin, Nolan Patrick, Yamamoto, Robert Thomas. None of them are signed, and training camp starts next week. So, where's the huge deal about all these players? Like, clearly they're all waiting it out because
it's because we're the Leafs, bro.
You know what it is, though?
People just like hating on the Leafs and bringing attention to the Leafs.
I think we talked about this in a previous podcast, but I think it's because the Leafs players did it first. You know what I mean? The Leafs players were the first ones to want more money, to want to hold out to get paid more and do all that. And I think they influence the league now. Now all these young players see Mitch Marner making $11 million because he held out, and they want to make more money and they want to hold out, right? And they're all going to get paid. And to be honest, I'm glad this is happening, right? It shows that Dubas isn't incompetent. Like, it shows that these young players can get the money if they really want to get it. Like, I'm hoping these guys all get overpaid, man. They're all good players.
I'm hoping they all sit out till December and get overpaid.
Oh, man. But I don't see how Quinn Hughes and Pedersen can get overpaid, but that's a whole nother topic.
You know what? One thing I gotta say is fuck you, Darren Dreger. Fuck off. Where the fuck is your offer sheet now, you fucking bitch? Yeah, cause he's the one who fucking kept like, oh, like Marner gonna get an offer sheet. He's gonna go to the freaking search center to pay there. Go fuck yourself, you piece of shit. Yeah, but like, his dad was feeding Darren Dreger information. Agent was feeding Darren Dreger information. They're both colluding. I don't know if you want to call it colluding or some shit, but it is colluding. Just to make him more money. And now Mitch Marner is the most hated guy in Toronto. So I don't get it. Like, why is no one talking about offer sheet with Pedersen and Hughes and Tkachuk? Tkachuk should be bigger offer sheet contender. I don't know why teams are so scared of offer sheet. Go offer sheet them. Go offer sheet Tkachuk.
Yeah, like,
every team should be. You know what? Like, Montreal should have taken the pick they got from Carolina and offer sheeted Pedersen.
Oh, 100%.
And literally just offered him offer him $12 million. The Canucks cannot match that because their cap situation is shit. Offer him $12 million, and you have a first line center locked in, and then you have a really good second line center in Suzuki. But
I don't know, like, and these are good
that
players,
Christian
man.
Dvorak guy, he's gonna be solid. Don't worry about it.
You get 40 goal scorer, yo.
I think it's absolutely crazy that, like, I think it's crazy that you see a team that's actually cap strapped like the Canucks are, with two huge RFAs and a player as good as Pedersen is. I know he's coming off some down years, and he was injured last year, but still, like, he is a future top 10 center in the league if he's not there already. Like, he's very, very good. So I think it's crazy that no team has tried to offer sheet him yet, because he would be worth over $10 million if somebody offered it to him.
Yeah, how do you not offer sheet? Like, what's the point of these RFAs if you're not gonna offer sheet to make Kaprizov? I don't think you can offer sheet Kaprizov. He's like one of the most electric wingers.
That's the other one. Yeah, like, you know, he's a great player. You know that obviously the Wild aren't willing to pay him what he wants, so just go pay him what he wants, and then they won't match, and you get a good player.
Even Brady Tkachuk, like, Eugene Melnyk is cheap as fuck. And Brady Tkachuk he's a hot commodity, man. There's no players in the NHL like Brady Tkachuk. Like, why would you not offer sheet these guys? Like,
yeah, that's what pisses me off about the NHL. Yeah, like, NBA, like, if offer sheets were a thing, like, this would be 100% like happening every summer, right? A bunch of offer sheets.
Yeah, like, other teams and other GMs are supposed to be your enemy, but for some reason in the NHL it's not seen like that.
Old man club.
It's your advantage, guy. Did he new executives come in and just fucking, like, but no, they're gonna be old man club forever and ever. Like, go fucking offer sheet, you fucking losers. Make the league more exciting. The cocky name offer sheet was the first successful offer sheet since fucking Dustin Penner, which was what 2007, like fucking
I remember,
14 years down the road.
Do you guys remember Shea Weber got offer sheeted, but I
Yeah.
think it just didn't
It's
go
14.
through or
It was a
something?
15-year
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah,
It's a 15-year contract,
I remember
and
that.
that was unsuccessful because fucking.
That's the thing. It's like out of all the years that have passed, that's the only one that comes to my mind is that Shea Weber one that didn't even go through. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
I
get it.
think Vancouver offered you someone too. I don't remember what was it Ryan O'Reilly? They offered you Ryan O'Reilly Vancouver. I think they did. I'm not sure it was Ryan O'Reilly, but when Ryan O'Reilly was an Avalanche, I think someone offered him, but I think it's Vancouver. I'm not sure, but I remember. You guys remember did Bogdan Bogdanovic? I think it was on the Sacramento Kings got offer sheeted
Yeah.
by the Milwaukee Bucks, and everyone's all over that. It was the offer sheeted one of the best young players. Gonna play point guard, shooting guard, and behind Giannis and like Drew Holiday and like all these guys. And then I think illusion, and then they didn't go through because I think it was, I don't know what the fuck happened. I didn't follow up on them, but he went to the Hawks instead, and I was kidding with the Hawks with Trae Young. That's the type of thing the NHL needs. You need more offer sheets and stuff like that, and the league will be more exciting. I think ESPN and TNT will have a factor on that, but like who knows? Like, old man's cousin, old man.
Oh yeah, I forgot ESPN is gonna have hockey now. That'll be interesting. Okay, quickly on the same topic before we go. Okay. Give a number. Okay, who do you think is gonna make the most out of those players I listed, and what number do you think they're gonna get? And then we'll wrap up. All right, Nadim, you can go first.
Oh boy. I have to think Pedersen gets the most out of the RFAs still left. And I'm going to say 10 mil. I think he's worth the Eichel contract, at least.
Yeah, I think so too, 100%.
I think that should be like the floor for him. If I'm him and his agent.
If I'm him, I'm asking for 20 mil, man.
Well, yeah, if I'm him, I'd be asking for more. But, you know. The other thing that's crazy to me, sorry, just before we wrap up, the other thing that's crazy is, like, seeing all this crazy money spent on UFAs this year when supposedly the league and the GMs are, like, cap-strapped and the flat cap is, like, preventing stuff from happening. And then seeing GMs, like, pay, like, $3 million to Cody Ceci and acquire Duncan Keith without salary retention, but then squeeze these RFAs who are like 1,000,000 times better than the players they just overpaid is wild to me. It just still shows you like how backwards thinking the NHL is.
Yep.
You guys, sorry, you guys hear the quote that I was reading a sports article, and some guys like, oh, it's not a Russian rookie. They're talking about CC Keith and like whoever they signed. I don't know the fuck they signed. CC Keith and like all the rest of the guys there. They're NHL caliber players, right? They're not no Russian weak or Russian guy who can come from a lucky Russian guy or like even a rookie that's not like experienced and like all that type of shit. Like that's what you signed them for. Like they come out of nowhere. Like look at Terry Panarin. He came out of nowhere, guy. You didn't even know who the fuck he was and he came out of nowhere, right? That's the thing. Like you never know what you're gonna get. Like what was your question again? Who's gonna get paid the most?
Yep.
I feel like I do agree with Pedersen around like $10.5, $11 million, maybe around there. He's a franchise forward. If you want the bridge, I think he's gonna get 7 to 8. But if you want the long term, he's gonna get 11.5. I'm sorry, not 11%. That's too much. 10.5 to $11 million around there. I don't know how they're gonna sign Hughes, but you have to wait and see on that. I think. Hughes comparison giving McCarr for sure, but who knows? Like Hughes can't play defense. That's the thing. That's not a hot take.
For sure. That's not a hot take for sure. Damian, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Patterson gets a bridge deal, so I'm gonna go with Kaprizov with the most. I think with I'll say 10 mil,
Yeah, I
because
think I agree
he's
with you,
24 years
Dominican.
old, right?
Dominican, you
Yeah.
read my mind, man. I was gonna say that too, because there's no way. Like, I agree with Nadim and Jaskarin. Like, Pedersen should get paid. Like he deserves that money, but there's no fucking way he's getting it. Like, Vancouver cannot pay him that money. So I think you're right, Dominican.
We'll find out, right? Like,
What
there's
I
one more
have
week left in the till preseason, and then
I have one more question for you guys, just out of my mind. Who do you think has the worst off season? Worst and best off season? You guys can do worst first, but I don't know if we have time for this, but I just want to ask you the question.
All
Like
right,
worst and best off.
let's make it
For
quick.
me, it's I know.
As worst or
I
best?
just as worst. I think they lost a lot. Like they lost Nedeljkovic, they lost Mrazek, their new two goalies. They have them, but they're both injury prone. They lost Dougie Hamilton. Um, like I think they got significantly worse, even though they do have Kotkaniemi now. Like I don't know. I think they got a lot worse this offseason.
Um, I don't know. This is a tough one. I feel like New Jersey had a good off season. Um, like I think I might say New Jersey. I think like this is like a super analytical, not like a interesting take, but I guess you could say like Tampa had the worst off season because technically like they had a lot like they won the cup and they had to give away players, right? So it's
Bogosian,
not
my
an
guy.
exciting- What?
Bogosian, though.
Oh,
Huge
Bogosian, man,
ad.
game changer, game changer. Then Negan, what do you think?
I gotta agree with Nadim, because I think Carolina fucked up by not re-signing Hamilton, and it kind of looks dumb after you offer sheet Kotkaniemi what was it, 6.6 or whatever,
Yeah,
or
you give
6
him
mil?
6.1, but you can't give
Yeah,
Hamilton 9? Like, what? You
yeah.
trade away
Or even
Nedeljkovic, but then you sign your
yeah,
other goalies to more money than he wanted? Like, I
that's
don't
what I'm
know.
saying. Like Ned's your future like superstar right there. I don't know. Like Detroit made a good move, man, getting Ned. I think he's gonna be their future star goalie.
Detroit had a pretty good offseason, too, actually. They got Nedeljkovic and they got Suter, too, right? Pius Suter.
Oh yeah.
Man, you know who had a good one? Like, I know like Chicago's fucked up and everything, but they got better. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I know
Chicago
Seth Jones
got
is
much better
overpaid,
this
but like
offseason.
they got if Fleury plays for them, like they're a good team if Fleury plays. Um,
That's a good pick for best offseason.
yeah, like I just thought about that now.
Yeah.
Like like
Like,
just
screw the Hawks,
pure
because, you know,
purely
everything
on
going
paper,
on,
ignore
but
yeah, screw the
just hockey.
Hawks. But if you're talking about just hockey, just like looking at a lineup on the paper, like the Hawks got a lot better. I could see them making the playoffs.
So
I
this
just
is
find
going
the
off
biggest
topic a little bit, but like to me, I think that's Stan Bowman being like, "Hey, look, guys, I still matter. I still am important. Let me make all these moves to show how important I am,
oh yeah, he's trying to
because
do
I
that to push
definitely did
the
this thing that I should be fired for."
yeah, he's trying to push the attention off of that, right? By making
Yeah,
the team good and making
and he's
trades.
trying to show that he's still a good GM and still useful and still worth keeping around, even though he's probably a scummy human being.
Not even probably a scummy human being. He is a scummy human being.
Well,
Just like Mike Backpack. Yeah.
No, he's not as bad as
he's
Mike Babcock is
Yeah.
not
he's
as bad
definitely worse than Mike
I
Babcock.
know.
as Mike Babcock is a saint compared to Scotty Bennett.
Nah,
Mike
just
Babcock,
fuck
Mike
with
Babcock
me.
is not a criminal.
All right, guys.
I know, man. He just,
Just Karen,
but
let's finish up on your thoughts.
I think the Oilers had the worst offseason. Not a hot take, but
That's a good pick too.
Yeah, that's a
signing
good one.
TC, trading for Keith, trading Caleb Jones to whatever Caleb Jones and what to a third, and oh my god, how do you not bring in a fucking goalie and go back to Smith and Koskinen?
Yeah,
How?
That's
The only reason I didn't pick Edmonton is because they did get Zach Hyman, and they probably will be a little bit better for that. But yeah, when you list all those moves together, like
I
that, it
completely
sounds
forgot
really
about all that. I
bad.
think you're right, Tristan. It's
It sounds
definitely
real
Deadass, yeah.
bad.
definitely Edmonton.
Like how do you sign Mike with a 2-year extension? 2-year extension. He's goddamn 39 years old. Like what the? I don't understand that. Like seriously.
2 years
And then-
for Mike Smith.
And then yeah, Mikko Koskinen like a $4.5 million deal. I don't know what the fuck they're thinking when they signed that. Shreddy signed that, and then you freaking fire him like a week later. Like why you make him sign that and fire him? Like that makes no sense. And then you signed CC, who had a good season last year with the Penguins, an awful season with. He had one good season, and he had an awful season with. What was it? Pittsburgh. He had a good season with Pittsburgh, and an awful season with Toronto, and Ottawa. That shot. I don't know what the fuck that shot was against Columbus. Remember he shot it and it went to throw in the corner, and hit the glass. Remember that shot? And then I think you have the best offseason was New Jersey, Detroit, and like I don't know who else. I don't remember who. Like I don't know like who else. Well, I don't remember.
Hey guys,
It's two.
Seattle technically had the best offseason because they had nobody, and then they had a bunch of players.
That's true. They went from nothing to now having an NHL team, which is pretty impressive.
Like I'm impressed, man.
I
Only
can't
a couple
believe
teams
too.
in history have done that before.
And Cat Base too. I think all.
I mean, technically every team in history has done that before, but
Except
I know what you mean.
except the original six, I think, but whatever.
Okay, guys, let's wrap up. Lunchtime. I mean, it's dinner time. Sorry.
Lunchtime.
It's lunchtime for me, man. All right,
Ben's in Hawaii right now.
You don't know, man. There is no COVID for me. I'm traveling everywhere.
All right. I see you.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. I think we're gonna try to keep it weekly. We didn't do much podcast during the off season, but there's gonna be a lot more news to talk about. I know I before I was saying I didn't want to watch Leafs games, but you know I'm gonna end up watching Leafs games. So lots and lots to discuss. See you guys next week. Make sure you guys follow us on all our social medias and make sure you guys like and share the podcast. Thanks, guys.